If your watercolor roses keep turning out flat and lack realism, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you that painting soft, realistic petals is actually much easier than it looks? Hello, I'm Yalsere. In this video, I'll show you a simple watercolor approach that helps you create soft, delicate and realistic petals without overworking your painting. It's beginner friendly and it can make a huge difference in your results. So let's get started. Whenever I paint a rose in watercolor, I always remind myself that softness comes from water, not from overworking the paint. So instead of trying to fix everything with my brush, I let the water do most of the blending for me. Let me explain this. After applying a glaze of clear water, I'm laying very diluted paint at the base of the petal and the areas where the petal folds. Now I'm being careful not to touch it too much. This is very important. In watercolor, the more you go back and forth, the more you lose that fresh, soft look. So I place the paint and let the water help me do the blending and spreading. Most of the times when we say realism, we think details. We believe more the details and visible brush strokes, more realism. But that's not exactly true, at least not for me. For instance, adding more details at the center of this rose did not make it more realistic. Realism comes from depth and dimension, which in turn is achieved only by layering. But don't decide beforehand on how many layers it should take. Be open and receptive to each individual painting's needs and also listen to your heart. This is how you build your artistic muscle. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are bad only if we don't learn anything from them. I mixed a slightly darker version of the same color I used in the first layer, so not a completely new color, just a deeper tone. This also helps keep everything looking soft and natural. After placing down the color, I clean my brush in water and then use this damp brush to softly blend just one edge. This creates a smooth transition while still keeping some definition. If you blend everything, you lose the depth, so it's nice to leave one side slightly sharper. I have sped up this part where I go around the rose petal by petal, placing more saturated color at the base and blending it outwards. It looks very subtle and negligible if you were to take these steps apart, but when all these small steps come together, they compound and create a more realistic look. And in just a few moments, I'm going to share with you one last tip which is going to help your petals look more three-dimensional. Time to slow down and look for the darkest darks in your painting. These are usually the areas where less light reaches or areas in complete shadow. This is usually not about large areas but tiny areas of shadow that help build contrast between soft and sharp and which creates more depth in your painting. If something feels too dark, don't worry. You can soften it with a clean, slightly damp brush or gently lift a bit of color while it's still fresh. Watercolor is very forgiving if you work gently. And remember, depth doesn't come from adding a lot of paint. It comes from adding the right amount in the right places. If you noticed, we didn't rely on a lot of detail or complicated techniques. It's really about understanding when to let the paint flow and when to take control with more careful strokes. Even small changes will start to make your petals look more realistic. Most importantly, be patient with the process. Watercolor takes a bit of trust, but once you get used to it, it becomes very relaxing and enjoyable. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. Use less brush movement and trust the water more. That's the key to soft, realistic petals. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you soon in the next one. Bye for now.